Okay, so the next measure of location is percentile measure. So you often see this like when you hear about SAT scores. So you might have gotten, say, a 720 on your math SAT, but they also tell you, oh, that was the 94th percentile. So what does that mean, that it was the 94th percentile? So it means that you did better, or your score was higher than 94% of all the test takers, and your score was worse than 6% of all the test takers. So that's what the 94th percentile means. So what does 80th percentile mean? So that means that the score was better than 80% and worse than 20%. Sometimes it's confusing. You might think 80th percentile is like the opposite. It's better than 20%, but no, it's better than 80% and worse than 20. So what about this score? What does this mean? If you've got 50th percentile, does that mean anything special to us? So what does it mean? It means that it's the score which was better than 50%, so it's better than 50%, and it's also worse than 50%. So we actually recognize that as what? We recognize that as the median. Right? That's exactly what we mean by the median. It's the score that has half of it below and half of it above. So the 50th percentile is also the median. Okay, let's take a look at this. A percentile provides information about how the data are spread over the interval from the smallest value to the largest value. For a data set containing n observations, the pth percentile, like the 95th percentile, divides the data into two parts. Approximately p% of the observations are less than the pth percentile, and approximately 100 minus p% of the observations are greater than the pth percentile. Colleges and universities frequently report admissions test scores in terms of percentiles. For example, suppose an applicant obtains a score of 630 on math of an admission test. How this applicant performed in relation to others taking the test may not be readily apparent from this score. We don't know what percentile this is. However, if the score 630 corresponds to the 82nd percentile, we know that approximately 82% of the applicants scored lower than this individual, and approximately 18% of the applicants scored higher than this individual. Okay, so how do we calculate the pth percentile for a data set containing n observations? So suppose I want to know where the 90th percentile is for a data set that contains n observations. So we first have to arrange the data in ascending order from smallest to largest. Then the location of the pth percentile, that is, for example, where is the 90th percentile score, that location, denoted L sub p or L sub 90, is computed using the following equation. So we take 90 over 100, and they said they had 12 items in the data set, so that's n equals 12. So again, we take 90 over 100, and this is 12 plus 1 is 13. So we do 0.9 times 13. And that's supposed to give us the location. Let's see how we use this. Let's take this data. This was the salary data, starting salary data. So here's the lowest one, the second lowest one, and the highest one. So suppose we want to figure out where is the 80th percentile salary. So there are 12 items here. So according to the formula, we would put 80 here, and divide by 100, and this would be 13. So we do 80 over 100 times 13, 10.4. So what does that mean? So that means basically it's like 10. Position 10 is where? Here. So you might say, well, it's just, this is the 80th percentile score. But, it's not exact. We don't use exactly this number. We say it's somewhere between the 10th position and the 11th position. It's 10.4. So it's like 40% of the distance between here and here. So it's the distance between here and here is 6130 minus 650. So we take 40% of that and we add it to here, to the 6050. That's what they did here. So they get this is the 80th percentile score. Okay, let's try it again. Let's try it for the 50th percentile score, which we also know to be the median. So what do? We want to find the location of the 50th percentile. So we put in 50 here, and this is again 12 plus 1. So we get 50, we get 0.5 times 13, which is 6.5. Going back up to here, it's 6 is here, 7 is here, it's halfway between here and here. And so we just figure out what's halfway between these two, and that's going to be the answer. And you can do the calculation like this. And we can also, as we said, note that the 50th percentile is also the median.